For the second time in a little over a year, an article of impeachment against President Donald Trump will be delivered to the Senate.
Plus, a change in direction now for the war on the coronavirus, the federal agency tasked with vaccinating as many Americans as possible.
Working on getting COVID under control, how President Biden is responding as different strains of the virus spread.
Breaking news alerts and the Weather Authority forecast. This is Local 12 News.
Good evening and thank you so much for joining us here tonight live at 5. I'm Kyle Linsky.
I'm Paula Toti. Winter weather advisory remains in effect now for really much of the tri-state.
So we're going to go straight to Chief Meteorologist John Gum with more on what we can expect for the rest of the evening. John.
And quite honestly, guys, I do not think that this is going to be a huge issue for the region tonight. The reason is because road temperatures have been above freezing, in some cases well above freezing, and that has prevented major issues. Now, that said, watch the bridges, watch the overpasses through the evening because they will be the first to develop any slick spots. Winter weather advisory for most of us until 6 o'clock, so only about another hour of that, except in our far north, Fayette, Union County in Indiana, and Clinton County in Ohio. It runs until midnight. Take a look at radar. Most of what you see in here is some drizzle that's coming down. We have some more light showers pushing into the south of Cincinnati, and you'll notice temperature readings are rising above freezing now in a lot of locations. So that means that any slick spots that are out there will continue to just melt, and we'll just see some light rain through the evening. So there's a look at temperature. Some spots running at freezing, others just below freezing, still others are a little above freezing. So what we have is a mix of drizzle and freezing drizzle that is coming down in the tri-state. Now you go up top to our tower cam, you can see some of the ice that has developed on that. Certainly in your neighborhood, you probably see some ice on the trees, but for the most part, roadways have been okay. 33 degrees, east-northeast winds at 13 miles per hour, and some light rain reported at the International Airport. We're going to continue to see some more rain showers pushing in from the west and southwest through the evening here, and as temperatures continue to rise, only in our far northern areas will we be worried about any freezing rain. Watch the bridges, watch the overpasses as temperatures this evening go into the mid-30s and some light rain continues throughout the tri-state. Coming up in weather, we're talking about active winter weather. We go from icy and wet to colder and even snowy. And we'll time the next weather maker that could give us some travel issues coming up in your Weather Authority forecast in minutes.
All right, John, thank you so much. The Senate portion of the impeachment proceedings against President Trump will soon begin. Within
a couple of hours, House managers will present a single article accusing the former president of inciting the January 6th Capitol riot, which resulted in the deaths of 5 people. Skylar Henry has the story from Capitol Hill.
For the second time in nearly a year, House impeachment managers will march across the Capitol and present the article of impeachment against former President Trump to the Senate.
The resolution is adopted.
The House impeached the former president for a second time nearly 2 weeks ago on a charge of incitement of insurrection in connection to the deadly January 6th storming of the U.S. Capitol.
The only way to bring healing is to actually have real accountability, which this trial affords.
Senators will be sworn in as members of the impeachment court on Tuesday, but the trial won't begin for another 2 weeks.
At least 17 Republicans will have to join with the Democrats in order to convict the former president. But so far, GOP senators are split.
I think the trial is stupid. I think it's counterproductive.
I believe that what is being alleged and what we saw, which is incitement to insurrection, is an impeachable offense.
U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts presided over the first impeachment trial for former President Trump. This time, sources tell CBS News the Senate President pro tempore, Vermont's Patrick Leahy, will preside over the second trial, now that Mr. Trump is out of office. Federal officials tell CBS News an awareness advisory to law enforcement was issued regarding violent threats on social media and open sourcing against members of Congress in relation to the impeachment proceedings. National Guard presence will continue through the trial, but it is drawing down from the 25,000 that were here to 5,000 service members by mid-March. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And you can watch live coverage of the delivery of the impeachment article to the Senate right before 7 o'clock tonight. We'll have it here on Local 12.
Senator Rob Portman of Ohio is among the Republicans who say President Trump bears some responsibility for the January 6th attack at the Capitol. The Terrace Park resident tells us today he wants to hear both sides of the impeachment trial before deciding how to vote.
I will be listening, as I said, as a juror, and I'll be listening to the constitutionality arguments, among other things. As I look at the Constitution, it says that impeachment is for removal and keeping someone from running for office again, not or. So I want to hear those constitutionality arguments. I think that is a serious issue. President Trump has left office. He's down in Florida.
And Senator Portman also revealed today that he will not seek re-election, citing increased polarization. You'll hear more about that decision to end his political career, spanning more than 3 decades, ahead tonight, live at 5:30. More than 25 million Americans have now been infected with COVID-19. That's about 8% of the country's population.
But the rate of infections and hospitalizations appears to be slowing, and that is leading some states and regions to start to relax restrictions again. Public health officials lifted California's widespread stay-at-home order that was put in place in November after a huge spike in cases. Outdoor dining and indoor salons in most regions are once again allowed to operate.
I'm just hoping that this is the last, that was the last shutdown, and from now on we just can operate at the normal, steady pace.
And according to the COVID tracking project, intensive care units for the very sickest remain overburdened in both the west and in the south of the country. Only about half of the 41 million delivered vaccine doses have been administered to date. Unpredictable allocations are causing delays and confusion.
The Federal Emergency Management Agency announced today it will now lead the national effort to get people vaccinated. Local 12's James Pilcher joining us now live from the Breaking News Center with what that means for all of us locally. James, good evening.
Thanks, Kyle. Actually, reports started leaking out that FEMA might be getting involved all weekend, and today the agency made it official with this press release. The agency FEMA is known more for responding to natural disasters such as earthquakes and hurricanes, but it will now lead the effort to vaccinate as many Americans as possible. It's using nearly $58 billion in emergency funding to make this happen. President Joe Biden has made it his stated goal to deliver 100 million shots of the vaccine in the next 100 days. And that can include 100 new massive vaccination centers across the country. Given that Hamilton County is the 52nd largest county with a large metro region around it, it's considered likely one of those could be in this area. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine also said last week that the state was considering adding more vaccination sites. Now, right now, there are more than 20 sites to get a vaccine in Hamilton County. Northern Kentucky has 6 sites. Warren County has 4 official sites with additional Kroger pharmacies available. Butler has 6 plus those Kroger pharmacies, and Claremont has 7 sites plus some at Kroger and Meijer stores. Now, more stores could be coming as Kroger is ramping up its vaccination system throughout the area. But those existing sites and possible new ones face the same problem. There just isn't enough vaccine to go around. Many sites aren't taking reservations until more medicine becomes available. Now, FEMA says it will be coordinating with the states to improve this system, including helping with funding and even paying to lease some of these new sites. Now, I reached out to both FEMA and the Ohio Department of Health today, but no one was willing to go on camera. We will be following up with them all week on this issue. Live in the Breaking News Center, James Pilcher, Local 12 News.
All right, James, thank you so much. Lots of good updates there. And so far, area counties have distributed more than 102,000 initial doses of the vaccine in Southwest Ohio and Northern Kentucky. Let's take a look at the numbers now. Ohio's Department of Health reported another day of cases numbering under 5,000 today. There have been 4,334 new coronavirus cases, with 57 more deaths since Sunday. The virus has killed at least 10,768 people in the state. Kentucky added 1,250 cases in the past 24 hours. 39 more people were reported dead in that time, for a total of 3,460 there in the Commonwealth. Indiana has 2,210 more cases than yesterday and 12 new deaths, for an overall total now of 9,352. An executive order from President Biden will help ensure federal agencies buy more goods and services to help U.S. companies through this pandemic.
The president is trying to close loopholes, updating how much of a product needs to be produced domestically for it to be considered made in America. Meantime, some senators want more details on the administration's $1.9 trillion relief plan, saying their top priority is distributing the vaccine quickly. President Biden remains focused on his goal of 100 million vaccinations in the first 100 days of his presidency, but it's unclear how many vaccine doses are in the federal supply.
The confusion around this issue, which we acknowledge there is some confusion, speaks to a larger problem, which is what we're inheriting from the prior administration.
The Biden administration also announced plans to reinstate a travel ban on more than 24 European countries and Brazil, and add a new ban on South Africa. That's because more contagious variants are spreading. Under the new restrictions, all international travelers must provide proof of a negative COVID test within 3 days of traveling to the U.S. Meantime, pharmaceutical giant Moderna says 2 doses of its vaccine should protect against known variants of the virus that have emerged. Those mutant strains were first identified in the UK and South Africa.
Another pharmaceutical company today says it's giving up on 2 potential COVID-19 vaccines. This company is Merck. Now, that decision follows poor results in early-stage studies. Patients did not generate an effective immune system response compared with other vaccines. The drug maker will focus instead on studying possible treatments for the virus not yet approved by regulators. Well, so to come here tonight live at 5, taking extra precautions why the UC basketball team was forced to cancel another game. Police identified 3 women killed in an accident on I-75. Around 6:30 last night, a Lincoln MKZ hit the barrier that separates I-75 and I-74 north of Hopple Street. 3 victims who died at the scene were all passengers in the Lincoln. 38-year-old Alice Richardson, 38-year-old Natasha Moore, and 39-year-old Erica Easley. The driver and another passenger are both listed in serious condition. Investigators are looking for witnesses to that crash because they're not yet sure what caused that car to hit the barrier.
A chain reaction crash on I-75 near Dayton kills a local woman. State troopers say 3 cars were pulled over yesterday waiting for a tow truck. A car veered into one of the parked cars that hit the other 2. 53-year-old Corinthia Trailer of Hamilton was in the first car that was hit. She died on the way to the hospital. A passenger in her car is in critical condition. None of the other injuries are considered life-threatening. We have new video to show you of a high-speed chase that ended in oncoming traffic. Police say this started yesterday afternoon with an attempted mugging at the Kroger in Montgomery. An officer spotted the suspect's car, which turned out to be stolen. The driver took off on I-71, reaching 100 miles an hour at times. The car lost a tire and a rear bumper before an officer stopped it by bumping it. The driver, Jeremiah Jackson of Columbus, is wanted in Central Ohio on several felony charges. 4 other people were in the car during the chase, all under the age of 18.
A massive cleanup continues today after a train derailment near the Cincinnati Museum Center. No one was hurt when 6 cars and 2 locomotives jumped the tracks yesterday at the Queensgate Rail Yard. Crews already cleaned up about 1,000 gallons of fuel that leaked there. Some streets, though, in the area remain blocked this evening. Some major changes are in store for a familiar kitchen appliance.
Coming up at 6, the new features that will keep children safe.
The Bearcats men's basketball team has not played a game in almost 2 weeks because of the coronavirus, and today it was forced to postpone another one. Local 12's Chris Rankel is live now with how the school is addressing this situation. Chris, good evening.
Well, Kyle, I think this is just the state of college basketball really during this pandemic and this season. UC and Xavier aren't the only ones dealing with this, but certainly they've been hit hard over the last couple weeks, as UC today notably canceling its 5th straight basketball game, a game that was supposed to be played this week, now postponed for later in the season. When that will happen, we're not really sure at this point, and we don't even know when we're going to see Xavier or UC back on the court. But a statement from the athletic department saying, in part, I'll read it here, the UC men's basketball program will undertake limited team activities with a goal of returning to the court soon. That statement went on to say the health and safety of student athletes, coaches, and staff remains the department's primary focus as we continue to salute the work of our athletics medical staff. So the latest cancellation, as I said before, the 5th straight game postponed by the Bearcats. The last game they actually played was on January 10th. It was a loss to Wichita State. As of right now, we're going to say as of right now, knock on wood, the next game on their schedule they would be able to play will be February 4th against Temple. And things are a little better for Xavier. but not much because Xavier's practicing. They returned to practice on Friday. They practiced over the weekend. They've only postponed 4 games in a row, at least right now. They're next slated to play at Butler on Friday. But this is just the case of college basketball during the pandemic. And really now that the clock is ticking towards the conference tournaments and potentially March Madness, you're looking at a UC team that's only played 10 games. Xavier hasn't played many more. Is this going to affect their tournament standing? What are they going to do? Are they going to be able to get all these games in before the conference tournaments kick off later in March, guys?
From Local 12, the Weather Authority, this is Chief Meteorologist John Gumbs' hour-by-hour forecast.
Well, day that has featured rain and freezing rain. You probably have some stuck to your trees outside. That's made for some pretty pictures this afternoon. Thankfully, our road temperatures have been above freezing, so we haven't seen widespread issues. However, elevated roads still will be closer to freezing this evening, so we're going to have to keep an eye on the possibility of slick spots, especially north of Cincinnati. Rising temperatures, though, overnight, and that's the key to this whole thing, because as temperatures rise, those slick spots are going to tend to go away, but they're going to linger to the north of Cincinnati, so be careful there. Hey, a warm surge coming tomorrow. A lot of spots are going to get into the upper 40s, maybe close to 50 degrees. Not as much rain, but a few showers will still be a possibility. And then we turn our attention to another system coming on Wednesday, especially late Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening, and that's going to bring a little bit of snow back into the tri-state with even a little bit of accumulation. This evening, the winter weather advisory goes until 6 o'clock, so it's going to expire here in the next 40 minutes or so, except for Fayette, Union, and Clinton County, where they do have it up until midnight. So watch for slick spots this evening, especially on elevated roads like bridges and overpasses. Notice they've canceled it for our northern Kentucky counties, except for Boone, Kenton, and Campbell County. There's a look at some of the ice on our tower there that sits in Mount Auburn, so you can see a little ice still forming there on the tower, and you're probably seeing a similar picture on some trees around the area. 33 degrees right now. It's just plain old rain at the International Airport as we've come above freezing. East-northeast winds at 13 and a wind chill now of 24 degrees. And you'll notice a lot of spots are rising to that freezing mark or even above it. Still freezing in Wilmington and in Brookville, Indiana, but Mount Orb's risen above freezing. Maysville now to 35 degrees. Still freezing, though, out in Versailles, Indiana. And we have a mix of some very light rain and drizzle and patchy freezing drizzle and freezing rain. A little of that pink still showing up there in northern Butler County and Warren and Clinton County, where temperatures are still sitting around the freezing mark. And then to the south, yes, it's all green coming through northern Kentucky. That is just plain old rain that will continue to push on through the area. Here's the big winter storm that's helping to kick this mess off in our area. It's producing heavy snow in Nebraska, Iowa, into northern Illinois, and that's where they have winter storm warnings in effect. They could be measuring snow in feet there. For us, it's showers this evening as we slowly rise through the mid-30s. Everything goes over to some light rain, and you'll see that taking you on through the overnight and into tomorrow morning. A little bit of light rain continuing to push through the tri-state with temperatures rising into the upper 30s, and we push into the 40s tomorrow, much warmer, with a few hit or miss showers kind of hanging on during the day tomorrow. But another system due in here late Wednesday into Wednesday evening, and that brings snow showers. 38 Wednesday. We'll have to watch for some slick spots Wednesday night into early Thursday as those snow showers move out. A little colder Thursday, and then going into the weekend, another system late Saturday into Sunday could bring more messy weather and maybe even some slick travel conditions. And of course, coming up at 5:30, I'll have more on Wednesday's system and a more detailed look at the one coming for the weekend. Guys, back to you.
All right, John, thank you so much. Massive plans that once produced America's nuclear weapons helped our country win the Cold War, but some scientists say we're now paying a price for that.
Tonight at 11, Dwayne Pullman investigates how facilities like this one in southern Ohio are contaminating communities around them. Nuclear fallout only on Local 12 News.
But first, we're going to take a look at the preparations underway right now for Super Bowl 55.
Super Bowl 55 is now set with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing at home against the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. Molalangi is at Raymond James Stadium, where the big game is going to be played in less than 2 weeks.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady are going to Super Bowl 55.
It'll be familiar territory for both Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Brady is the game's oldest quarterback, heading to his 10th Super Bowl, versus Mahomes, going to his second straight and looking to become the youngest starting quarterback to win back-to-back Super Bowls.
He's got a touchdown!
Brady, in his first season with the Buccaneers after a 20-year career with the New England Patriots, narrowly beat the top-seeded Green Bay Packers 31-26 to win the NFC title. Prior to Brady's arrival, Tampa Bay had not won a postseason game in nearly 2 decades.
Who would ever thought, a home Super Bowl for us, but we did it.
And history made again, as the Buccaneers will be the first team ever to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium. Meanwhile, the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, nursing an injured toe, convincingly beat the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game. They fell behind early, but after finally scoring in the second quarter, they never looked back.
Look at underhanded. He throws it for the touchdown.
Mahomes will be looking to become the first quarterback to win back-to-back Super Bowls since, that's right, Tom Brady in 2004 and 2005.
The job's not finished. We're going to Tampa, and we're trying to run it back.
It's hard to overlook that storyline of the future versus the legend, right? It's Mahomes versus Brady.
It's great because you're seeing the old guard, the classic guy that can read defenses, get you in the right play. Where Patrick Mahomes, it's let me just extend the play. Let me take us back into the street a little bit.
CBS Sports NFL analyst Bill Cowher, Hall of Famer and former coach who won a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers, says the matchup between these two quarterbacks could provide plenty of drama.
If they get the ball at the end of the game, they got two quarterbacks that know how to finish games.
And in a season like no other, in which games were frequently rescheduled due to coronavirus outbreaks, Cowher says the NFL and its teams deserve credit for getting through it.
Is this season going to be affected or tainted, or is there going to be asterisk?
If there's an asterisk, it's going to be a job well done.
The NFL's COVID protocols will only allow 22,000 fans into the stadium on Super Bowl Sunday to watch the game. 7,500 tickets were donated to vaccinated healthcare workers, but don't expect Super Bowl week to look anything like years past, with the Kansas City Chiefs only expecting to arrive here in Tampa a day or two before the game. Mola Lengi, CBS News, Tampa, Florida.
All right, but if you're not going, you can watch Super Bowl 55 on Sunday, February 7th. Where can you watch it, Kyle?
Right here
on Local 12.
With 2 years left in his term, Ohio U.S. Senator Rob Portman says he will not seek re-election. Coming up next at 5:30, what's behind his decision and what he says about who could fill the seat.
I'm Elise Preston with a warning from doctors who say your mental health could have a dangerous impact on your heart health.
And the COVID vaccine, I should say, is now available to a new group in Ohio. Who gets priority as more people become eligible for the shots?